This is Fox 66 News, first at 10.
Tonight we have a first-hand look at the future plans for the former McDonald's on State Street. Good evening. We now officially know who bought the McDonald's at 5th and State Streets. Tonight we finally see what the future holds for this prime piece of real estate, a plan that is going to take a few years to come to fruition. Star Bodie has continuing coverage tonight at 10.
We've been hearing about plans for the West 5th and State Street site. If all goes well, the EDDC has a proposed plan of a brand new building. In agreement of the sale, the current building, a now closed McDonald's, must be demolished within the next 30 days.
We decided it was an opportunity we had to seize upon because, as you can see, there's just such great potential on this corner. With the plans call for a new up to 5-story building, 83,000 square feet.
The new proposed plan could have commercial space on the first 2 floors and potential space for up to 13 businesses and 37 to 41 residential apartments. The $18 to $25 million project looks to provide more than 100 new job opportunities.
If we want people to come here, if we want people to invest in Erie, we've got to give them a reason to invest. And so starting with these blocks down here, we're going to be pouring a lot of money into revitalizing these buildings, creating a new building here, drawing more businesses and drawing more life to downtown Erie.
We asked many people around town about their thoughts on this McDonald's being torn down, and many had mixed reactions.
Got to do nothing but better the place, especially in this area, because the McDonald's was bad.
For others, the McDonald's will be missed.
I have a daughter that loves to go to that McDonald's. I mean, I've been taking her there for years on Sundays. That was traditionally our spot to go on Sundays. So now I'm going to have to look for somewhere else to take her.
The EDDC is also working on a proposal for parking, walking, and a biking plan. Star Bodie, Fox 66 News.
4 people were taken to the hospital after a collision near Lake Pleasant and Tate Roads. The accident happened around 1:30 this afternoon. A black Jeep and a red truck collided, the truck rolling upside down into a ditch. The windshield was shattered and the airbags deployed. Perry Highway Hose Company, Cool Hose, and Green Township Ambulance were all on scene. The conditions of those involved in the accident unknown at this time. Erie police investigating an early morning high-speed chase. According to police, 27-year-old Terrence Porter of Erie ran a stop sign at 7th and Cherry. That happened around 2:20 this morning. When police tried to stop Porter, he took off. Police say they chased Porter, who was then apprehended after hitting 2 parked vehicles and then rolling his vehicle at 7th and Plum Streets. Porter was taken to the hospital where he was arraigned by District Justice Carney. Once released, he will go to the Erie County Prison on $25,000 bond. Fire destroys a home in Union City early this morning. The call came in around 12:30 this morning for reports of a fire at this home at 3 Grand Street. According to Union City fire officials, 2 adults and 3 children lived in the home. All escaped unharmed. Family is currently being assisted by the Red Cross. No word yet on a cause. We are told, though, the Meadville Fire Department is investigating. A senior at Cathedral Prep has died. The story is new tonight at 10 o'clock. Father Scott Jabo, the president of Cathedral Prep, informing the student body and parents via email today about the death. According to Jabo, 17-year-old John Schoenig died Saturday evening. The cause of death not shared. Jabo wrote, quote, "The details of his passing are not entirely clear, and the family has requested a respect of their privacy during this time." We're also told counselors will be available to students and staff tomorrow at both Prep and Villa. Members of the Islamic Culture Center of Erie and the community marched against racism this morning. More than 100 people gathered at Gridley Park for the 6th annual March Against Racism walk. The march remembers the Islamic leader Hussein, who they say stood for saving people from oppression. The goal of the march is to create awareness against racism and stand against corruption and violence.
March for peace, march for justice, march against race, against violence. So that's the good value. This is universal value for all people, for all communities. It's not religion, just religion, for all the communities.
The march ended at the Islamic Cultural Center on Parade Street. Hundreds of people gathered on State Street for a day full of fall fun. The first ever Fall Fest took place this afternoon, celebrating all things fall. More than 25 vendors lined up between 9th and 10th Street selling produce, apparel, and photos. Also part of the event today, those traditional fall fair activities like face painting. Vendors were also lined up inside the Boston Store Place.
lot of the people that live down here, they don't get opportunities to go to the outskirts of town and experience this and have the fall experience. So that's really what it's about, is bringing this to people that don't normally get to experience it.
Event coordinators say they hope to make this an annual event. It was a perfect day to enjoy some wine tasting as well as help out a worthy cause. Presque Isle Wine Cellars at the Colony hosted a wine tasting and fundraiser tonight. The purpose of the event was to raise money for SafeNet, an organization that provides shelter and counseling to those in domestic violence situations. Organizers telling us the support means a lot to the organization.
We've had a lot of the Colony stores that have donated to this event, so people really need to come down to the Colony and do some shopping too, along with this great event for SafeNet.
15% of all the wine sales today goes back to SafeNet. A spooky race on Erie's Bayfront today, the Port Erie Run taking place. Runners began the 5K at Liberty Park, where they took off on 3.1 miles along the Bayfront. The event, sponsored by the Erie Port Authority, showcases Erie's new bicycle trails on the Bayfront Parkway. Runners also had the opportunity to get into the Halloween spirit, as you can see, some wearing costumes.
I mean, beautiful morning. The bay couldn't be more beautiful right now. The leaves are just starting to turn colors, and for us, it's fun to get out there together and to support each other.
Donations raised from this event go toward maintaining Erie's Port Authority. This week's Made in America has a certain calling to it. We're off to North Bay Game Calls, where custom calls start from a block of wood and soon become a call of the wild. As David Belmondo reports, every game call made here is Made in America, made right here.
Steve Steffi knew he had a special calling. In fact, he had several calls. And that's what makes up North Bay Game Calls.
Basically, I just wanted to make a duck call for myself.
And that's how it all began back in 2006. Steffi did a lot of research, bought the tools, and a business was born.
Ended up making turkey calls, predator calls, goose calls, just a variety of different calls, and people started wanting to buy them.
These calls start out as planks of wood. Some of the wood is exotic wood. Once it's cut to size, Steffi drills holes for the sound chamber and the reed. Each call is unique.
They're one at a time. There's no CNC machining. Everything's different. There's no call that's alike.
The work of art continues as Steffi skillfully turns the wood until the shape is perfect. The call is waxed and buffed to a mirror-like finish. The beauty is evident.
A lot of the calls, because they're so nice, they actually get handed down from generation to generation. They're not just something that you're going to throw in your vest and kick around the truck and lose in the backseat of your truck somewhere.
And when it comes to Made in America,
Made in America is important for our local economy, for our local hunters, for our local trappers, for everybody involved.
Made in America, made right here.
Made in America, made right here is presented by Channel Lock. To nominate a local business you'd like to see featured, click on the news tab at yourerie.com.
Lawmakers voicing their stances on the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria. I'm Steve Harrigan in Iraq. That story ahead.
Plus, how doctors are now able to treat heart disease in ways they may not have been able to before. And a young boy with Down syndrome gets the thrill of his life when he becomes an honorary band conductor.
See news happening? Shoot it, then send it to us via Facebook or the Your Erie To Go app on your smartphone. See it, shoot it, send it.
Efficient, affordable vehicles at the Auto Express Resale Center, like a 2014 Kia Sorento for only $14,900. When dependability matters, the Resale Center on Route 8 or AutoExpressSuperstore.com. Tough, durable trucks at the Auto Express Resale Center, like a 2017 Chevy Silverado for only $29,900. When dependability matters, the Resale Center on Route 8 or AutoExpressSuperstore.com.
Why walk when you can fly? Spread my wings and let it ride. Tap into your inner eagle. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings.
News is brought to you by Superstore Joe at Auto Express, Alfa Romeo, and Fiat.
The Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio and Stelvio Quadrifoglio can rock it from 0 to 60 in a New York minute. That's 3.8 seconds for anyone keeping score.
Efficient, affordable vehicles at the Auto Express Resale Center, like a 2016 Honda Pilot EXL for only $27,900. When dependability matters, the Resale Center on Upper Peach or AutoExpressSuperstore.com.
This is Fox 66 News. First at 10.
Coming up, a group of scientists soon making their way to the Red Planet to see if there truly is life on Mars. That's just ahead on Fox 66 News. As troops withdraw from Syria, Democrats and Republicans are making moves to help stabilize the region. Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan has more on the ongoing conflict from Iraq.
Secretary of Defense Mark Esper says forces being pulled back from Syria will eventually end up in western Iraq to monitor the Islamic State, adding the ceasefire negotiated on Thursday by Vice President Pence and the Turkish president is, in his view, holding.
I think overall the ceasefire generally seems to be holding. We see a stabilization of the lines, if you will, on the ground. And we do get reports of intermittent fires, this and that. That doesn't surprise me necessarily, but that's what we're picking up. That's what we're seeing so far.
Both Democratic and Republican lawmakers have vocally opposed President Trump's decision to withdraw U.S. troops and fear its potential long-term impact. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi led a surprise congressional visit to Jordan over the weekend, releasing this statement. With the deepening crisis in Syria after Turkey's incursion, our delegation has engaged in vital discussions about the impact to regional stability, increased flow of refugees, and the dangerous opening that has been provided to ISIS, Iran, and Russia. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, who spent the last week imploring President Trump to reverse course, may now be changing his tune.
I am increasingly optimistic that we can have some historic solutions in Syria that have eluded us for years if we play our cards right.
The defense secretary did not rule out the possibility of cross-border counter-terror operations from Iraq into Syria. In Erbil, Iraq, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
What was formerly Tropical Storm Nestor made its presence felt this weekend in parts of Florida to other parts of the southeast. The weather system spawned several tornadoes, including one at Cape Coral, Florida. Danielle Garcia spoke to homeowners in its path, now cleaning up.
Cleanup efforts already underway after an EF1 tornado tore through this Cape Coral neighborhood. You can see in this Wink News drone video the extent of some of the damage to this one home. A scary sight for neighbors.
Horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying.
Dana Deneen says he was woken up by the loud sounds.
It sounded like a concrete truck mixed with thunder, and it kept going on.
Yeah, as soon as it got daylight, I went in to pour a cup of coffee, and I looked out the kitchen window and went, oh my God.
Candy Payne was out on her porch, still dark out, when she heard the tornado coming through.
And it sounded like a train came through the yard.
The National Weather Service says the path was a mile long and 100 yards wide. While the path missed some homes,
it didn't even take the avocados off my avocado tree.
Others weren't as lucky. Neighbors were out seeing the damage done. This car was thrown from across the street, completely smashed in and totaled. And this home destroyed. Half of the roof gone, the garage caved in. Fortunately, no one was home at the time.
You can plan for a hurricane, and you know the hurricane's coming, but boy, that tornado, I mean, it was still pitch black. It was early in the morning. People were still sleeping.
2 cranes at the Hard Rock Hotel construction site in New Orleans were destroyed in controlled explosions today. 8 days ago, 3 people were killed when the building partially collapsed. City officials had described the demolition as a, quote, dangerous operation. The cranes were leaning precariously, and they were more damaged than first believed. All of that made taking them down safely more difficult. Health officials say that they will be monitoring the air quality in the area following this demolition. NASA scientists are working on a new project to find out if there was ever life on Mars. Using rocks from the Red Planet, scientists may be able to discover if life was ever possible. Dr. Libby Hausrath is an associate professor of geoscience at UNLV. As of 2 weeks ago, she's also a NASA scientist. She and a team of 9 other scientists will embark on a trip to Mars to collect samples of the red planet.
Be able to, take pictures and make measurements and decide which will be really good samples for return, collect them, store them, and then the fetch rover can return them to Earth.
Now, this mission will be the first time a rocket will launch from Mars and bring back samples from its surface. The rover will take off in July. Well, the cultural and social fabric of the next generation is being woven in the classroom. Schools are playing a bigger role than ever in launching the young, but some experts say they may be teaching topics that are best dealt with by parents. Fox News correspondent Kristen Fisher takes a look.
Open up a history textbook for 4th graders in California, and you'd learn about Charlie Parkhurst, who drove stagecoaches in the 1850s, but, quote, he never told anybody that he was born female. Here's a book for 2nd graders about Sally Ride, who became the first female and first lesbian American astronaut. The curriculum was adopted by the California State Board of Education in K-6 classrooms after the state passed the Fair Education Act in 2011, requiring all public schools to teach LGBTQ history. Since then, 3 other states have passed similar laws.
And here in Maryland, the State Department of Education is developing curriculum standards for history classes to include the fight for civil rights for the LGBTQ community.
This is an important priority for us as a district, again, that all students see themselves in what's being taught and in the context of U.S. history to know the history of civil rights.
But critics worry it forces students to learn about sexuality and gender identity before they may be ready.
These are matters best left to parents. The introduction of discussions about sexuality and so on are things that parents should initiate at a time they think appropriate.
LGBTQ inclusion is just one example of how what students are learning is changing. Ashley Berner at the Johns Hopkins Institute for Education Policy says she's noticed a trend towards more current cultural issues in the classroom.
Many states are becoming interested in making sure students are informed about the political debates that exist out there.
Some parents love it, but for those who don't, Berner says there's little they can do to opt out.
There's quite a lot of rules and regulations, and the courts have reinforced the right of a school board to set the agenda.
In Maryland, Kristen Fisher, Fox News.
Very calm weekend so far. Looks like tonight will remain the same, just dry conditions, a little bit on the chilly side. We have some rain in the forecast in the short term. We'll have more details in a bit.
Drive the Outlander Sport with confidence, equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Buy the Outlander Sport for $18,875. That's right, an all-wheel drive Outlander Sport for only $18,875. Only at Interstate Mitsubishi.
Everything you love about Hurdle and Brown is now in Fairview. Expert physical and aquatic therapy, evening appointments, no referrals needed, now in Fairview.
When your doctor says physical therapy, choose any of our 5 locations. Fairview, Summit, Harbor Creek, Warren, and the West Erie Plaza.
Looking to reap big savings on a new RV? Don't miss Harvest 2019 this Thursday through Saturday at Boyer RV Center. Rows of new motorhomes and towables have been marked down, all with the best prices, financing rates, and factory incentives we've seen in years. Like this brand new Sunseeker Class C motorhome with over $24,000 off MSRP. While you're here, grab a pumpkin, try some apple cider, and be sure to ask about our RV winterizing specials. Come take your pick from acres of RVs during Harvest 2019, only at Boyer RV Center.
I call it the kids' taxi. She calls it her ride to the game. And she calls it her rolling storage.
I call it a Kia, the perfect blend of technology, price, and security.
Lease an all-wheel drive Kia Sportage for only $188 a month. That's $188 a month.
We used to drive a Dodge, now we drive a
Kia! I want to see ya in a Kia.
From your weather authority, here's meteorologist Dan Rupp.
Hey, we got some light winds, calm actually, Conneaut Lake on the Channel Lock weather camera. The nice weekend continues. High pressure there in Michigan. A little bit of cloud cover starting to move in to the Midwest. Viewer photo from Chris Gagliano, Woodmere Beach and Northeast. Really cool seeing the trees just like that, kind of like a shadow with the sunset in the background. Thanks a lot for sending that in. 48 in Enbro. We have 52 McCain, 45 Union City and Corey at 46 degrees. Farther south, 48 Meadville, Jamestown, and reporting 52. Chandler's Valley already down to 42 degrees. And here's a look at your dew points. A little bit higher compared to last night, so lows should not get as low. Winds about 5 miles per hour in Meadville. Everywhere else pretty much calm. Almanac numbers today, high actually hit 70 degrees, and the low was 49. 59 is the average, 44 is your low average. Sunrise at 7:39 and your sunset at 6:32. Another gorgeous one tomorrow. Temperatures will be even warmer, and we'll have some rain starting to move in Monday night and Tuesday morning. There will be a cold front passage. So your lake forecast for tomorrow, water temperature at 59, increasing clouds, winds southeast 5 to 15 knots, and your waves only about a foot or less. System moving through on Tuesdays right here, and you can see even some wraparound snow there in South Dakota. We will not be seeing that. We'll just be getting some rain with that activity. Jet stream dipped down to the south, so that is showing you some cooler air with those blues and purples. As we step through the futurecast here tomorrow, we have a nice southerly flow. Winds will be from the southeast, so we should get some nice warm temperatures from there. And then also a little bit of downsloping should help warm temperatures up along the lakeshore. Finally, some rain showers start to move in Monday evening and overnight, and then the rain continues for Tuesday morning. You can see the cold front passage right there. This is 11:39 a.m. Behind it, some very dry air, so skies should actually clear out pretty good before sunset on Tuesday. And then some lake effect tries to start up, but notice the wind direction. If it is from the southwest, then those bands or whatever it tries to develop over the lake will stay to the north. But on Wednesday, they shift a little bit more westerly, and we might see maybe a shower or two closer to the lakeshore. For Thursday morning, there is a warm front and another cold front eventually for Friday. That will give us another shot at some showers. So for tonight, 42 degrees in the mountains, 46 inland, 49 lakeshore, mostly clear. Those temperatures a little bit on the chilly side. Winds will start off calm like right now, but they will increase to about 10 miles per hour, and that's a sign of that low pressure getting a little bit closer. For tomorrow, nice temperatures, 68 in the mountains, 75 lakeshore. We'll have some increasing clouds, winds 10 to 15, gusting up to around 25 miles per hour. And then tomorrow night, we start to see the rain moving in. Might even get some thunder, but the rain will become more likely towards Tuesday morning. 52 to 56 are your low temperatures, winds gusting up to around 30 miles per hour. Here's your long-range forecast. Rain showers likely certain, actually, 62, and then those should start to move out during the late afternoon and evening hours. A chance of a little bit of lake effect there near the lakeshore on Wednesday, down to 56. Thursday, keeping it dry, possible showers. That's our second cold front. Saturday, chance of rain, and Sunday, mostly sunny at 56 degrees. Check out the 7-day forecast and our weather cameras, including the one you just saw, the channel lock cam on yourerie.com. Send it over to Jay and Jill.
Thank you, Dan. We don't want anyone to panic. It is Sunday.
Yes.
Not Monday, Jay. And for Mike.
Although it does feel like a Monday.
It does feel like a Monday.
Boy, what a scene in Happy Valley yesterday. Usually the game doesn't live up to the hype, but it certainly did against Michigan and Penn State. We'll take a quick look back at the Nittany Lions' victory coming up.
My daughter is a ballerina, and I'm so thankful for my Nissan. When I went to Interstate Nissan, the service bay was very clean, the people were very kind, the experience was flawless.
Right now, own a Nissan Altima all-wheel drive for $23,990 and get 0% financing.
Only at Interstate Nissan.
Education is the key to ending poverty, and at United Way, we know more students succeed when families, community organizations, businesses, and service agencies come together to support public schools. A community school is the hub of the neighborhood, uniting educators, community partners, and families to provide all students with opportunities to succeed in school and in life. At United Way of Erie County, we're on a mission to crush poverty.
The Erie Zoo presents Zoo-Boo. A spooky atmosphere, but not too spooky. Come for the treats. Stay for the company. Get lost in the creepy corn maze and stop by Area 51 for a spooktacular good time. Costume or not, all are welcome. Come see us at the Erie Zoo for Zoo-Boo, October 17th through the 30th. For more information, go to eriezoo.org.
Closed captioning is sponsored by Afton Landscaping.
The fireplace, an American tradition, providing warmth, comfort, and beauty through the long winter ahead. Glowing Embers Fireplace Gallery offers American-made fireplaces, stoves, and inserts from leading brands Avalon, Lopi, and Fireplace X. Whether you choose wood, pellet, or natural gas, our certified technicians are here to provide expert installation and service. Glowing Embers at Afton Landscape Supply, where tradition and excellence come together.
And now, Fox 66 Sports with Jay Pushkar.
Good evening. In whiteout conditions, Penn State defeated Michigan last night as the Nittany Lions escaped with a 7-point victory on Saturday. Peter Terpstra has more.
Penn State stays undefeated with a win against Michigan, but this one pretty much had it all. First, you had the whiteout atmosphere. Then, you had the fast start for Penn State. Then you had the Michigan comeback. And then, you had the goal line stand to cap it off.
Patterson escapes, delivers, incomplete in the end zone.
That stop at the end was obviously critical, and guys made plays when they needed to.
Again, Penn State's defense stepped up and helped close out the game. Safety Lamont Wade was the guy this time around, breaking up what would have been a game-tying touchdown.
He moved a little bit inside, and I knew they weren't going to run anything what they usually do. They usually do 7 cuts down in that end zone. So I put my money on the slant, played inside leverage, and I was there. I stuck to him and was able to get it out.
Michigan got back into the game after trailing 21-0. But in the end, the defense held, and the offense picked up a first down to finish it off, all in front of more than 110,000 people.
That was definitely the coolest environment I've ever been a part of, something that I'll never forget.
You're already in the meat of this schedule. Next up, Penn State's going to go on the road at Michigan State. That's a team that the Nittany Lions have lost to the last 2 seasons. Reporting from Beaver Stadium, Peter Terpstra for Nittany Nation.
And Jill, coming up later in the show, we'll check in with the Buffalo Bills. They were coming off their bye week, hosting Miami.
Yeah, that was an impressive whiteout, though, last night.
It certainly was.
And boy, for a second there, you thought they tied it. That was a crazy game.
Oh, my gosh, great game.
Thank you, Jay.
You bet.
Coming up, we'll have a look at today's top stories with your area in 66 seconds. Also coming up, a car with a personal touch. Subaru's newest version of its signature Outback now using facial recognition technology. Well, that story next.
And now save $10,000 on new Jones Chevy Silverados and new Jones GMC Sierras. That's $10 grand in savings at Jones Chevrolet Buick GMC in Warren.
The Lecom Medical Fitness and Wellness Center is more than a place to work out. Our team of certified fitness professionals will help you reach your health and wellness goals by providing you with a personalized fitness assessment and exercise program. Whether you prefer to work one-on-one with a personal trainer, in a group setting, or on your own, the choice is yours. To learn more, call the Lecom Medical Fitness and Wellness Center at 868-7800 or visit us online at lecomwellness.com. You deserve a smarter, safer fitness experience.
How do I use better than bouillon? I just add a spoonful to my marinades. To stir fries? Sauces? Just whisk it in. Brush it on? Sauté. It adds a cooked all day taste that doesn't take all day.
Better than bouillon. Don't just make it better.
Oh, heavenly hand cream. Heavenly hand cream? My hands get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keeffe's Working Hands. It's America's #1 selling hand cream for guaranteed relief of dry, cracked hands. Thanks to O'Keeffe's, I got my hands back.
Help fight breast cancer and save big now during Pinktober at New Motors Subaru. Trade up into your new Impreza with available 0% financing for 72 months. Or drive home the all-new 2020 Legacy from $0 down, $299 a month at New Motors. And we'll donate to Patty's Pink Warriors for every new Subaru sold during Pinktober. With over 300 new and certified pre-owned Subarus and much more. Save and help big during Pinktober at New Motors Subaru. This is Fox 66 News. First at 10.
The EDDC finally unveils a proposed project for a prime piece of real estate in downtown Erie. That headlines tonight's top stories in your Erie in 66 seconds. A new proposed plan could have a commercial space on the first 2 floors for up to 13 businesses and 37 to 41 residential apartments. The proposed plan includes a 5-story building, you can see right there, of up to 83,000 square feet. The $18 to $25 million project looks to provide more than 100 new job opportunities. The EDDC is also working on a proposal for biking, parking, and walking. 4 people were taken to the hospital after collision near Lake Pleasant and Tate Roads. The accident happened around 1:30 this afternoon. Black Jeep and red truck collided, the truck rolling upside down into a ditch. Perry Highway Hose Company, Cool Hose, and Green Township Ambulance all on scene. The conditions of those involved in the accident unknown. And fire destroys a home in Union City early this morning. The call came in around 12:30 for reports of a fire at this home at 3 Grant Street. According to Union City officials, 2 adults and 3 children lived in the home. All escaped unharmed. The family is currently being assisted by the Red Cross. No word yet on a cause, but we're told the Meadville Fire Department is investigating. For updates on the top stories and breaking news anytime, log on to yourerie.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. It's a first in transcontinental flights in the land down under. Australian Airlines Qantas landing the world's first ultra-long-haul research flight in Sydney, touching down today after flying more than 10,000 miles from New York. The flight was designed to test out effects of long-haul non-stop flights on passengers and crew. Checks included brainwave and melatonin activity and passenger comfort issues.
This is a really historic moment for Qantas, a really historic moment for Australian aviation, and a really historic moment for world aviation. We're the first commercial airline to fly non-stop from New York to Sydney.
Qantas also plans to study data for 4 aircraft classes of flying, with a special area for economy passengers to be able to exercise during those long-haul non-stop flights. A car with a personal touch, the new Subaru Outback recognizes your face and even knows when you're getting a bit distracted. Fox News correspondent Gary Gastola has the latest.
Don't let the 2020 Subaru Outback's familiar style fool you, because it's all new and very high tech. In fact, it thinks you look familiar too. The car uses facial recognition to identify you and then sets the seat, mirrors, and temperature just the way you like it. It'll even tell you if there are any birthdays or anniversaries you need to remember. It's more thoughtful than some people. The updated Outback also features a giant configurable touchscreen interface, plenty of room for passengers and gear, more ground clearance than most utility vehicles, and the model's signature retractable roof rack. Prices start at $28,000 for Outbacks powered by a 182 horsepower, 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, and $36,000 with a torquey 260 horsepower, turbocharged 2.4-liter 4-cylinder in this one. Both engines come with all-wheel drive, of course, and a continuously variable automatic transmission that's good for 30 miles per gallon with the turbo, which helps deliver the Outback's highest level of refinement ever and a 3,500-pound tow rating with it. Subaru's EyeSight electronic driver aid system also comes standard. It watches the road to help steer in a lane and brake for obstacles if you're not paying attention, which the Outback does its best to make sure you do. The car keeps an eye on you while you're driving too, even on a gravel road like this. If you look away from it to check out the sights or your text messages, it'll know that and remind you to look straight ahead. One more thing, when you're done driving for the day, you should probably say goodbye, because the car says goodbye to you. In the 2020 Subaru Outback, Gary Gastola, Fox News.
Coming up on Fox 66 News, it was a day to celebrate all things maple syrup in Edinburgh. We'll take you there next.
To the insurance company, I'm claim number JUX90FJ54, classified as minor work accident. Well, insurance company, I'm Max, and that minor accident kept me out of work for over a month. So while you take your sweet time with my claim, I'm struggling to feed my family. Nice to meet you.
Insurance companies aren't in the business of protecting people. If you've been hurt on the job, call Edgar Snyder and Associates right now. We're your workers' compensation lawyers.
After October 1st, 2020, you'll need a Real ID driver's license or photo ID card or another TSA-approved form of ID to board a domestic flight or enter certain secure federal facilities. Getting your Real ID in Pennsylvania is quick and easy. Just gather up the required documents and bring them to your local PennDOT Driver License Center. Visit penndot.gov/realid or call 717-412-5300 to get started.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Extra, extra! Speakeasy discovered on Erie's west side at Sneaky Pete's. What was found inside will shatter your delicate senses. Creative cocktails with a variety of liquors and ales for the most sophisticated of palates. Fantastic food and deals that are almost criminal. Stop in at Sneaky Pete's today and discover for yourself Erie's best kept secret.
This is Fox 66 News. First at 10.
What happens when heart disease is so bad that thick plaque makes it nearly impossible to even place a stent in the arteries? Tonight we meet one woman who is part of a clinical trial using shock waves to fracture that plaque. Lou Baxter has the story. It's your health.
I'll cut some tomato.
59-year-old Vicki Sonicsen's heart disease had filled her arteries with plaque, narrowing them to the point that while trying to catch a train, she almost collapsed.
Going up the stairs, and I'm pulling myself up the stairs, just trying to get up to the top. And I thought, I am just going to die.
Thick plaque buildup constricting her arteries was the culprit.
When you see areas of a vessel where it looks like bites have been taken out, that represents atherosclerosis.
Doctors trying to put a balloon or stent in face blockage from calcium that has hardened. So for years, they drilled the vessel until they discovered shockwave therapy for coronary artery disease, or CAD.
Instead of drilling out the vessel, we can use a special balloon that emits ultrasonic waves to crack or fracture all that calcium.
The shock waves are generated from emitters along the context of the angio balloon and connect to a generator.
Is sparked, and that spark creates a shock wave pulse, and that pulse is transmitted from the emitter out into the vessel wall.
Vicki's recovery was a welcome relief.
They told me to take a week, and I felt great the next day. To know that somebody's watching over you saying, you can do this, you're going to live, it gives you the confidence to go out and want to do more.
Lou Baxter, Fox 66 News.
If you're looking to keep the flu from bugging you, LECOM has you covered. LECOM holding one of several flu shot clinics today at St. Mark's Episcopal Church. People having the opportunity to stop by the church prior to service to ask questions about the flu and receive a vaccine. LECOM recommending anyone above the age of 9 receive a flu shot. In addition, LECOM also has private pay options for those who don't have insurance, starting at $25. If you missed today's clinic, additional clinics will be held Monday at the Erie Police Department and the Downtown Y. Dozens gathered in Edinboro for a history lesson and a sample, a sweet treat. It was Maple Sunday at the Hurry Hill Farms and Museum in Edinboro. Those in attendance could learn the history of maple syrup production and the benefits of maple syrup to Pennsylvania. Folks also took part in maple syrup taste testing as well. We're told the event benefits the Edinboro Historic Society, the owner saying that it won't be long until the maple season kicks off.
And in the spring, when the sun starts to come up on the horizon again, the tree will warm up and we'll have warm days and cold nights, and we'll be able to make some maple syrup.
If you'd like to check out the museum, all you have to do is go on Sundays from 2 until 5 into November.
And it's weather trivia time. Which date was Erie's earliest snowfall on record? And there's a look at your options. We'll have that answer in your forecast coming up.
Are you looking to increase the value of your home? Here at River Canyon, we offer stone and flooring upgrades and improvements to your existing business or home. Our stone artisans create natural-looking, weather-resistant, state-of-the-art stone for any project you can dream of, installed interior or exterior. So, come into our showroom located at 4504 Peach Street and get your home stoned by River Canyon Stone and Flooring today.
Now's the time to hit the trail in a new RAV4 and go big with model year-end savings. It's go time at Toyota. So take your adventures to a new level. Lease a RAV now for $239 a month, or buy with 1.9% APR, or get up to $1,000 total cash allowance. It's go time at Toyota. Visit your local dealer and test drive one today. Toyota. Let's go places.
911, what's your emergency? My best friend is trying to kill me.
But the point was to smash things, not each other.
Wife? Mistress. Adulteress. She's really mad.
We are in the slaughterhouse where these defenseless ducks. Oh my God! Turn it off!
Fools locked themselves to the belt and the motor got kicked on.
He's not breathing.
Getting a call from the chief tomorrow.
You won't regret it.
You might.
911, all new Monday at 8/7 Central on Fox.
Weather is sponsored by the hundreds of cars at AutoExpressSuperstore.com.
Attention all little ghosts and goblins. It's time for the 23rd Annual Trail of Treats. Come to the Mill Creek Mall for Trail of Treats October 23rd and 24th from 5 to 8 p.m. And trick or treat this Halloween in a safe, fun, and warm environment. Advance tickets are only $4 and tickets purchased online or at the door are $5, with proceeds benefiting the Achievement Center and Sarah Reed Children's Center. Join Fox 66 and YourErie.com at the Mill Creek Mall for the 23rd Annual Trail of Treats. It will be a devilishly good time.
From your weather authority, here's meteorologist Dan Rupp.
Hey, welcome back. Only 46 degrees in Edinburgh University right now after a high of 69, and winds are pretty calm there. There's the center of the high pressure north of Michigan. And a little bit of cloud cover in Chicago, but that's about it. Everything is pretty calm out there. This was from earlier from Chris, Woodmere Beach and Northeast Sunset Shot. Thanks for that. 50 degrees in Penn State Barron, Northeast at 52. Corey currently at 46 and Union City at 48 degrees. Fort Crawford, Meadville at 48. Jamestown, Ann has 52 in Mercer. Oil City, Venango County there, 47 degrees. And here's a look at your dew points in the 40s, improved since yesterday. Those will go up a little bit for tomorrow. Winds are calm still, but those should increase to about 10 miles per hour late in the night. 70 was your high at the Erie International Airport, and your low was 49. Sunset is at 6:32. There's your record, 79 and 28. Gorgeous day tomorrow. We'll have temperatures even warmer than they were today. Rain will start to move in tomorrow night, and that cold front will finally pass through during the day on Tuesday. But later on, Tuesday not looking too bad. Lake forecast for tomorrow, we'll have partly sunny skies. Actually, clouds will be increasing throughout the day. Water temperature at 59, winds southeast 5 to 15 knots, and your waves only about a foot or less. This is the system for Monday night and Tuesday, even a little bit of snow, some cold air wrapping around for that. This is the remnants of Nestor over here in the mid-Atlantic, and that will keep tracking away from us. No rain from that system. Dip in the jet stream, some cooler temperatures north of that, and also the low pressure systems. You'll see them starting to form along that jet stream. There is a nice day in store for us tomorrow because the rain is to the west. You can see the southerly winds, but finally some rain should start to move in Monday night and into Tuesday morning. So this is about 4 a.m. You can see the showers moving through. And then, by the afternoon or late afternoon, most of it should be to our east. So I think, a lot of that rain will fall during the morning hours. But behind it, a lot of dry air. And we should end the day with some mostly sunny skies. Another trough might swing through and some lake effect starting up. Lake effect rain, that is. But because the winds are more southerly, that should miss us for later on in the day on Tuesday. Now, Wednesday, they start to shift a little bit more westerly, so lake areas may see a shower or two. That ends once this next system moves in. And Friday will be our next round of, or at least our next threat for some rain. Tonight, 42 to 49 degrees. Lakeshore, mostly clear. Winds calm to about 10 miles per hour later on tonight. And for tomorrow, we'll have above average temperatures once again. 68 in the mountains, just really nice here. 72 inland, lakeshore at 75. Clouds will be increasing throughout the day. When that front approaches, you'll start to see that clouds thicken up. Winds 10 to 15, gusting up to 25. Tomorrow night in the 50s, rain becomes more likely, and maybe even a little chance of some thunder. Winds 20 to 25, winds gusting up to about 30 miles per hour. Here's your 7-day long-range forecast. Rain showers still likely on Tuesday, ending the day with mostly sunny skies. Wednesday, a chance of some lake effect rain showers, mainly for Erie County. Thursday, partly sunny, 63, possible showers Friday. Next low pressure system, chance Saturday, 51 degrees. And then mostly sunny on Sunday at 56. Check out that 7-day forecast and our weather cameras. Much more. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter as well. All right, the trivia. What is the earliest date? Oh, let's get that first. Which
Sunday.
date was Erie? Yeah, probably. Earliest snowfall on record.
I'm going to go October 1st, even though I think it's the 25th.
That's the one.
Yay.
Yeah, October 1st, 2003, 0.2 inches of snow.
Okay, Dan, thank you so much. Jay has your highlights coming up between the Dolphins and the Bills. Stay with us.
If you're suffering with credit card debt, foreclosure, medical bills, one job loss, failed relationship, or medical emergency can trigger a devastating chain reaction.
I'm Dan Foster. Some of you may know me as Mr. Debt Buster. You are not alone. My firm can solve your debt problem. Call me today and I guarantee you'll sleep better tonight.
To learn more about how to get the debt relief you deserve, visit Foster Law Offices at AskTheProfessionalsOnYourErie.com.
You're not holding it by the legs, are you?
No, I'm not.
Gorilla Glue.
Of course. Gorilla Glue is incredibly strong and versatile, even outdoors, for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
Wimpy trash bags. Come on. Hefty, hefty, hefty.
Hey, ladies, buy Hefty Ultra Strong at a low price.
I wish.
Get Hefty Ultra Strong. Costs less than Glad Force Flex were sold head-to-head. Real Cathedral Prep parents.
They expect more from their students, and I like that.
We're in the neighborhood of 50 college credits at Gannon University before even graduating from high school.
I can't imagine a better school, a better environment for my kids to be in.
The end results are phenomenal.
It's going to be far more affordable than you think that it's going to be.
Find out more at Cathedral Prep's open house on Sunday, October 20th from noon till 3 p.m.
And now, Fox 66 Sports with Jay Pushkar.
Good evening. Having the second best record in the AFC and fresh off its bye week, Buffalo was back home hosting winless Miami. And we'll pick things up in the second quarter. While the Bills were trading field goals, the Dolphins were scoring touchdowns. Kalen Ballage on the TD carry there. Then it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, the former Bill, finding Devontae Parker. Miami led 14-9 at the half. Same score on to the fourth quarter. Bills would mount the comeback. Josh Allen with a dart to John Brown. They would also go for two and get the try. Beautiful dancing here by Brown, meanwhile. 17-14, Bills in front. Then off another takeaway. It's Allen finding Cole Beasley for his touchdown reception, his first as a Bill. Under 2 minutes to go in the game following a Miami touchdown. They'll try to go for the onside kick. And Micah Hyde comes up with it, and he's going to take it to the house to put the nail in the coffin. Buffalo with 22 fourth-quarter points go on to beat Miami 31-21. Hyde talks about his touchdown return, and the defense talks about their role in the big win.
I literally caught the ball, and I'm just like, yo, there's nobody here. And the touchdown, the end zone was just like, oh. And I'm like, I just went.
It's hard to tell anybody to go down in that situation.
I know, but I have to, though.
Were you thinking at all about it for a second?
I literally, as I'm running, you can watch the film, I kind of peeked to the sideline. It was just like, oh, man, I don't know what's score. But it's kind of, this is a crazy league. I gotta go down. They, even though there's, how much time was left? 40 seconds or a minute, whatever it was, I've seen crazier things in this league. For them to come down, score on another onside kick, get it, one play, field goal, somehow tie it up. So, good play, but I got to go down.
We need somebody to step up and make a big-time play. And, Jordan did a good job, man. He fired off the ball. By the time I turned around, play was over with, so I was trying to figure out what happened.
I told him, man, you keep getting off the ball like that, man, nobody's going to stop you. And he did a great job of getting off the ball. He did the same thing against Tennessee last week.
The second half, we limited those and was able to figure out a way. And Tre'Davious obviously did it kind of all by himself with the interception and the peanut punch. And we was able to rally around that.
Is it picked off? The Bills defensively step up late and help the offense rally for the victory. They improved to 5-1 overall on the season. They will host the Eagles next Sunday afternoon at New Era Field. The Steelers and Browns were on bye weeks, but first place in the AFC North, Baltimore, was on the road in Seattle. Seahawks down 3-0 in the second on 3rd and 3. Russell Wilson tosses one up to Tyler Lockett. He's able to come up with it. Seattle leading 7-3. Later in the quarter, Seahawks leading by 4, and something you don't normally normally see. Wilson is going to get intercepted. Marcus Peters, just joining the team days ago, picks him off and returns it 67 yards for the touchdown, and then slides safely into the end zone to celebrate. Ravens ahead 13-10. Jump to the third, game tied at 13 on 4th and 2. Lamar Jackson not only gets the first down, but he is into the end zone. Ravens up 20-13. Then in the fourth, the defense would seal the game away. The fumble return for 6 by Marlon Humphreys. And the Ravens go on to improve to 5-2 overall with a big road win in the Great Northwest. They knock off Seattle 30-16. At the PSAC Golf Championships, the Gannon women's team captured the conference title with a 3-round total of 962. Mercyhurst finished second, while Westchester came in third. On the men's side, IUP won the team title by 13 shots. They bested Westchester as they would finish second, while Gannon finished tied for third, and Mercyhurst finishing in 6th place. Finally, late last night, the Houston Astros punched their ticket to the World Series. With the game tied at 4 in the bottom of the 9th, Jose Altuve belted the game-winning 2-run homer to left field and was also named Series MVP.
I was just thinking something I can drive. I have my game plan. I wasn't trying to hit a homer. I was just thinking to hit the ball hard, get on base, and keep the momentum. Thanks God the ball went out, and we won the game. I hit the ball. You make sure the ball is gone before you celebrate. Then I'm thinking we're going to the World Series.
He's turned himself into a star in his career here, and yet he's remained humble. He's remained hungry. He's driven. He's engaging with his teammates. It's the same old quote of everything that's right about the Astros is Jose Altuve.
And Game 1 of the 2019 World Series is Tuesday night from Houston. You can see the World Series right here on Fox 66 beginning at 7:30 with the pregame show. First pitch will be just after 8 p.m. And Jill, it should be a great matchup. The Nationals have been a great story during the postseason. Houston has been the best team in the American League all season long. We'll see how it unfolds right here on Fox 66.
It's just cool to see the Nationals never having been to the big...
I know. Now they got a chance. They're just 4 wins away, and they can possibly win it.
Give someone, a team for all of us to cheer for,
Definitely.
Anyway, when we come back, Dan's going to have a final look at your forecast. I don't think any of our teams are still in it.
My team's not in it for sure.
You know that feeling when you look in the rearview mirror and see tons and tons of steel barreling toward you, or white-knuckling the steering wheel when a big rig is passing alarmingly close by. It's scary. But what's really scary is the devastating injuries that result from truck crashes. If you or someone you care about was seriously injured in a truck-related accident, call us now. You need a law firm that knows the ins and outs of trucking law. For a free consultation, call 1-800-9-4EDGAR.
Looking to reap big savings on a new RV? Don't miss Harvest 2019 this Thursday through Saturday at Boyer RV Center. Rows of new motorhomes and towables have been marked down, all with the best prices, financing rates, and factory incentives we've seen in years. Like this brand new Sunseeker Class C motorhome with over $24,000 off MSRP. While you're here, grab a pumpkin, try some apple cider, and be sure to ask about our RV winterizing specials. Come take your pick from acres of RVs during Harvest 2019, only at Boyer RV Center.
Join us at the brewery at Union Station Sunday, November 3rd from 1 to 4 for Early Connections annual fundraiser, Taco Wars, Crunch for the Kids. Sample tacos from local vendors and see who the celebrity judges deem the best. Proceeds benefit children's programming. This is Nacho Grandma's Taco War.
Two sisters met decades after being split apart, and they plan to make up for all of the time that they've missed. Jackie and Suzanne are sisters. Their parents making the difficult decision to put younger sister Suzanne up for adoption, unable to afford 3 kids. 2 of Jackie's family members took DNA tests to track their ancestry. So did Suzanne. Now, a little research brought them together. First a phone call, and then Suzanne traveled from Nashville this week where they met face to face. Finally on Fox, a young boy with Down syndrome is taking command of the band. 4-year-old Alan Norton serving as the honorary halftime conductor at Saturday's game between Clemson and Louisville. Louisville's band director, Amy Ackland, came up with the idea for the young fan to take part. Alan received a cheer as the band performed on the field. Alan was born with a heart condition that had to be treated when he was just 9 months old. Pretty sure, though, his team did not win that game.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Cardinals.
But he won on the field.
Absolutely.
Hard to beat Clemson. Dan, final look at your forecast.
Yeah, we got some increasing clouds tomorrow, some very warm temperatures in the 70s, rain becoming likely Monday night and into Tuesday morning. Chance of showers on Wednesday.
Thank you so much. If you've missed any of our newscasts, go to our website, yourerie.com. We're just 2 minutes away from today's top stories on Jet 24 Action News. Good night.